Hey Google, connect to my Mac.
Got it. Looking for paired devices. Bluetooth is connected to McKinnon Foothill 545.
All right, great. Fantastic. All right, so this is week 7. Not week 7, lecture 7, week 4. Welcome to class. And it is starting to pick up steam, as I hope you guys would have also seen. That's great. And I see a whole bunch of you making good progress. That's also fantastic. Okay, so I'm very happy about those things. We'll start in a few minutes. It's only 8 o'clock, 8:02 right now. And in the meanwhile, if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. If you have any questions, concerns, doubts, so feel free to ask. By the way, nobody produced this walkthrough video that I suggested of, the very first quest, setting up VS Code. And Shadi was going to do that, but she's working, so I don't know. She may not have time. But, all right. And by the way, as soon as you guys are able to, I know that in the early morning, a bunch of you have chores you need to finish and things like that, getting kids off to school. But as soon as you're able to, please feel free to switch on your cameras also. Great. How is it going in general? Are you guys making progress, reasonable progress that you're happy with in class and the forums? Okay, great. In a couple of weeks, you have your midterm, and after that, we'll start talking about objects and classes. Just take this to the next level. But in order to understand that, strictly speaking, no, it's in order to. But the thing is, because you can learn about classes and objects, it's actually completely independent from what you're learning now. Because loops and structures, those are part of procedural programming in any language you take, right? So if you're good with the basic constructs that we're learning right now in the first 6 weeks, you'll pretty much be good in any language, Python, JavaScript, because it's exactly the same, right? What comes after that is a different paradigm altogether. This is creating objects and classes, and how you can look at data and how you can look at problems and structure it in a modular way, so that you can obscure parts of the problem that are distracting rather than useful. How many times have we had this, right? Even in real life, there are many problems, and we try to solve those problems. But when we solve those problems, we try to solve those problems, we are almost inevitably distracted by things that are not to do with the problem itself, right? And we say, we go off on a wild goose chase. And instead of solving the real problem that is of use to improving our own life, we end up solving some other unrelated thing that is not going to benefit us, but is going to maybe benefit someone else, or maybe not even benefit anybody, right? Because many people are working on things that is not going to help them and not going to help anyone, right? They're just doing things for the sake of doing things, maybe, I don't know, right? Or they don't know if it's going to work or not, and they just do it with blind faith. And so we end up in situations like that. So here, when we go to talk about real problems in with computational solutions, these constructs will actually come in tremendously useful, and they're going to be bound to be useful regardless of which programming language you choose, because it's always the same strategy. It's always the same strategy, and knowing these will allow you to zero in on exactly what's going wrong in our programs. Because right now, I can tell you, right, if right now, if you're finding it hard to debug programs, it's just like 50 or 100 lines, right, at most. Most of the programs we write in class, this much, right? 50 lines, 100 lines, that's all, right? And and we have to get really, really good, and that only comes by practice, okay? Not through genius or some, some genetic material that's been stuffed into your head. No, none of that matters, okay? It is just practice, 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 practice. And the people who practice are the ones who believe that they can do it, right? Because maybe culturally, some people are just that self-confidence has been suppressed, right? So culturally, or in certain places, or certain times of civilizations, or certain people, they may be many generations suppressed by being instilled, indoctrinated with a belief that says you can't do this, right? This is beyond you, right? You just do what's given to you, and that will be taken care of by more competent people, right? And so that is kind of ingrained in many people, and so they don't have the confidence to approach many problems. But the truth is that the other people who actually do manage to solve these problems, the reason they've been able to solve these problems is because they've been told you can do it. And they've, since they're young, people have been telling them, yeah, well, you're born to do great things because, you're absolutely set up for this. You have all the, abilities and talents and skills and so on and so forth. And look, you're doing these great things, and even for little things, and, pumped up, right? And so those guys may be full of false confidence or real confidence, will actually take on the hard tasks. And maybe, because if it's false confidence, they'll fail and nobody will know. But there are some of those who actually have real confidence, and confidence that has been put in from outside, and they go and tackle the problem and they find they can solve it, right? Whereas someone else who could also solve this problem, who has been indoctrinated to a deep level of belief that they cannot solve the problem, is never going to try it. Okay, they're going to try it. They're going to say, "Well, I can't do it. It's I might as well do something else, like work at McDonald's or something, right? And make a buck, because that is within my ability. Whereas I can't solve this complex algorithm." The truth is, they can solve it. They can absolutely solve the problem if they just set their mind to it, right? And so it's just breaking free of the cultural mold, right? To say, well, I'm not what other people say they are. I am, right? I am what I think I am. Right? And then that takes a long time to take root and grow inside of people. And you have to believe that and keep trying. And when you keep trying, then you say, well, I thought this was impossible, and I can actually do it very easily, just like anybody else, right? And when lots of people start doing that, then we'll see a whole lot more creativity and intelligence and beautiful things flower around us. And it's not through suppression that humanity advances. It is only through encouragement and the watering of the garden. And so, and it's just like that in programming too. I think that right now you may think that those problems are really hard. I'm not even going to give them a shot, right? And that's because during the early stages, like in the first 6 weeks of CS2A, we get given a lot of simple things, right? Simple problems that are mainly intended to improve your confidence. And people say, well, it's easy. I can do it in my mind. I'm confident, and they go on. No, they will not be confident when they come to bigger problems, because it's not just being confident with the small problems. It is just being in and out of it so frequently that it just becomes second nature. And that is the goal of preliminary classes in mathematics, computer science, any art or skill that requires practice. Right? The whole goal is not to show you this can be done and this is how you do it. Yeah, well, okay, you can read it in a book. The point there is to say, here's something, you can do it. Keep doing it 5 million times, okay? Every time you're awake, just keep doing it, because what you want to do is be doing that. You want to be changing the world. 10 years from now, you're going to release a product that will be a fundamental game changer, right? It changes the way people think in the world, right? Or interact with other people. You're going to be doing that 10 years from now, and it completely looks impossible right now. And the reason it looks impossible is because you are missing these baby steps. So let me just put these baby steps in place for you. And the first 6 weeks of class, in many classes, especially the beginning classes, that's the whole point. They say, all right, these are the ways that in which you can do that. But, it's not just enough to know it can be done. You just have to keep doing it repeatedly in many, many different settings, so that you get completely familiar with that object. I know this object no matter which angle I look at it. Right? Many times, right? If I can show you something, there's actually a very famous joke, right? Of I don't know. Let me try and remember this. It must be years since I told this. A scientist, a scientist, an engineer, something like that, and they're on a train, and they see a sheep in the far on the farm on a farm that's black, right? And they say one of them says, "Well, all the sheep in this country are black." And the other one says, again, something interesting. And the mathematician says, no, no, the only thing we can know is that there's at least one sheep in this country that's got one side that is black. Okay, because that's the only thing we can see, right? Because the other side we can't see, right? And what a very nice story it is, right? Because that is the way scientists think. A real scientist will not just say, this is what I can see, so everything else I'll just assume. I'll just assume the things that I can't see. That is total bullshit, isn't it? Because you got to look at the evidence and say, well, if these people can do it, yeah, well, they can totally do it. Everybody can do it. Yeah, you just give them the evidence, give them the raw material, and they'll fashion something out of it. But if you don't give them the raw material, they're not going to do anything. And so these hard problems later on will become easy for you. Right? And you can talk and tackle them in your sleep. You can talk about them while you're walking and solve complex problems, right? While you're walking, having a good time. And you can only do that if all the tools you need to solve those problems can be used unthinkingly. So you need to use them repeatedly in many, many different concepts. Yeah, that's where I was going with that, right? So you have these tools, right? And you look at them one side and you only get a one-sided picture, like the sheet that is black on one side, right? But in order to get the full picture, you need to see it from all sides, yes? And because if you don't see it from all sides, you can't get the full picture. You only see one side, you only get a one-sided picture of it. And so these tools in computer science that you get introduced to will let you solve a problem in one way, okay? But solving a problem using the tool in one way is nothing at all. You're not going to get a job for that. I can guarantee. I would never hire you, right? So the only persons who are valuable hires are people who have taken tools and said, okay, I'm going to look at this tool from many different ways, many different angles. So I'm going to see if we can solve this problem, that problem, that problem, that problem. When you've done that, you have a 360-degree view of the tool. And you say, now, no matter where I'm thrust, right? I'm in a completely new company, in a completely new job, new project, okay? And this thing needs to be solved using my existing tools, right? I can use this to fit that gap. You would never have previously imagined that you could use a particular tool in a particular place because you haven't looked at that tool in a particular angle, that projection that says, oh, that projection can fit in the slot. Does it make sense? Right now, some of you who go on to do engineering, for example, right? Engineering drawing. And you may see, sometimes, I'm thinking back to my own days of studying this. In engineering drawing, you get these problems where in an exam, you get the 3 different projections of an object. Okay, and you say, well, the front view is this, the side view is this, and the top view is this. Okay, that's all you get. And you have to construct a perspective view, which means now you've seen it from 3 directions. Now make the object, draw the object in perspective such that it is what you'll see. This way, you know this, right? In fact, there are lots of websites now that has turned into that have turned this idea into some kind of game where they show you these 3 things and you have to select which one of these objects could have created those 3 shadows. Yes. Yeah. So like that, you can't just look at for loops or looping in one perspective and say, well, I've used looping to solve this problem, therefore I know loops. No. Right? You only know to use loops in that particular context, whereas a real expert knows to use loops anywhere. So no matter which company you go to, you'd be able to you'd be set up to say, well, I'm going to be the only tools that are available to that person, that senior engineer in that company. I have access to every single tool. So if they can solve it, now he or she comes up and in a meeting and says that's a solution, and I can't do it. It's not because they magically have access to new tools that you can't see. Yes. They're coming up with a solution with the exact same tools that you also have. How is it they're able to do that? How? Because you also had the tools, but you didn't come up with a solution. And the reason is because they have seen the tool from multiple different angles. Okay, they have used the tool so many different ways that they know what the tool looks like, no matter where you look at it from. So when a brand new problem is posed by the CEO or shareholders of a company and say this needs to be solved, they will be able to say, well, I can solve this problem because I have those tools. I can just bring them around, shuffle them and fit them right there. And so, that's the way to solve the big problems. And the only way to get there is just by practice. And believe me, you just practice blind, again, I shouldn't say it's blind faith here, because it's not total blind faith, like, some, supernatural thing, but I'm saying it's partially blind faith in the sense that just do it for a couple of months, but then test it after, right? So you can test the effort I put in paid off after 4 weeks. You can test it after 1 day, okay? It's never going to work. And people say, I've worked with for loops for 1 week or 3 days, and now I should be a master. No, it doesn't work like that. Okay, many times it takes a very long time. So you take these tools and keep playing with them again and again. Many times you may think that you're doing the same thing again, right? You may not feel different, right? But all of a sudden you'll encounter a situation where you have to use a tool where it's used in an unconventional way, but it just came naturally to you, right? It's not like you have to look up references and say, hey, that problem can be solved if I use this particular tool in that particular way, right? That person must be a genius. Right? No, that person is not a genius. That person basically just used a tool 5 million times. You only use it 5 times. So because they use it 5 million times, and one of those times they actually use that tool in that particular way, right? And it just they happen to see it. Does it all make sense? That is how big problems are solved, not just in computer science. At some point, computer science is going to spill over into maybe your business direction, or improving humanity. Or improving a lot of people that are unfairly treated. All of these things, computer science can bring to bear things that will actually improve our own lives in future, and those are going to be big problems where computer science is going to play a major part, but not the whole part. But in order to solve those big problems, you'll still bring to bear the same skills and say, well, because I didn't shy away from problems when I was young. Okay, that is basically it, right? When you're young, when you encounter problems, if parents or caregivers tend to make you shy away from the problem and try to make you avoid it by giving you the solution, right? And say, well, don't do it, or something like that, or you shouldn't do this because it's against some sacred law laid down by some holy person, or things like that, and not let you try it out and find out why it's going wrong, right? Then you're going to be averse to trying things out. You're going to be afraid. You're going to be blocked by irrational things for the rest of your life, and you'll never solve big problems. And but the way to solve big problems is to say, I'm not afraid to take a chance, because ever since I was young, I was thrown into problems, and I knew that there were caregivers around me who said, you're not going to die, but you're going to do it. Okay, because if you're going to die, I won't let you do it, but you're not going to die, but I'm going to let you do it anyway. And you're going to be it's going to be painful, but like you're going to touch the flame of a candle because it's so nice and it's dancing and all, right? So you're going to kind of grab it and try to eat it, but you're going to burn your finger, but it's not going to kill you, but you'll feel the pinch, right, or the burn. And then we'll treat it afterwards. You'll be fine, but that will be a good memory for you. And also later on, you'll know, right? So that's something I can make use of rather than making it hurt me, right? Because everything that has the capacity to hurt you also has the capacity to do good, right? So it's only a question of how you purpose things that makes a difference to how humanity progresses. So, I don't know where I was going with that, but essentially I'm saying that it's just practice, practice, and practice. Okay, perseverance, practice, and patience. Right? I think I made that. Perseverance, the 3 P's of programming. Right? I need practice, perseverance, and patience. Programming and proofs. Right? And even math proofs. Sometimes, how many times? Many of you are in computer science, so you're probably also doing math courses, right? How many times have you tried to prove something and you're like totally stuck? You have no idea how it's going to be, how the left-hand side can ever equal the right-hand side. No idea, right? And you can bang your head on a wall for days sometimes, just like you do with computer programs. Maybe not right now, but when you get to CS2B, right, I can promise you there will be lots of situations where you're stuck in a problem and there's a bug and you don't know how to solve it. And you're thinking, well, I know every single thing right now. I know how to use for loops. I know all the basic mechanics. I know everything that is needed, but I still cannot come up with a solution, right? And then you're just banging your head on a wall. It's going to be extremely frustrating for 2 or 3 days sometimes, right? And you can look at the forums after, not for answers. We can look at the past subreddit posts in 2B and 2C, more in 2C really, where students have experienced this problem firsthand. Right, and say, how do I overcome this frustration? I am like totally lost, and then they come back and post another post later on saying, the way I got over that was basically to forget about it and take a walk. Okay, it's incredible, isn't it? So you just forget about the problem, take a walk. That basically, what does it do? When you forget about a problem and take a walk, it's exactly the same as you're trying to find, you're trying to find Foothill College in Los Altos, and you're on foot, right? You're on foot and you're walking around. You have very limited visibility around you, right? So how long will it take? It'll probably take you the whole day to find where Foothill, if you can ask other people, obviously, right? So the way to find Foothill College is to basically put some distance between you and the college, is to go up a little bit, right? So 1 mile away from the ground, you can see everything. Now, once you can see everything, then you can basically narrow down, zero into the, like a parachuter, glide into the right position and land in college. And likewise, problems in life also, not just computer science. Life problems are also like that. It is very hard sometimes, right? In life problems, computer science, not so much. But life problems, you can see it's exactly the same, right? Sometimes it's very hard to not solve a problem immediately, right? Because when we have a life problem and we say, well, if I don't solve the problem tomorrow, I'm ruined, right? I can never, nobody's going to respect me, and I'm done, I'm dead, right? So we feel like that. And so it presents an irresistible urgency in our minds to say, I got to get it solved right now, or at least I need to find out how to solve it so that I'm secure. And we spend a lot of time and we bash our heads. And in fact, unfortunately, many times what that exercise leads people to is that after being frustrated with a problem and thinking that they cannot find the solution themselves, they are now in a very vulnerable situation or a state where some idiot maybe, right, who does not know your problem, who hasn't lived your life to know exactly what the problem is, and thinks they're a know-it-all and they can solve everybody's problem, right? And they say, well, you know what, I know exactly what the problem is, this is what you need to do, right? So if you do this, you'll be fine, right? And they'll come and give you some stupid advice, and because you are now vulnerable and you don't know what to do and you're just grasping at straws, really. I'm not talking about simple problems, right? I'm talking about a problem in which you believe that you're going to die, or you're going to be ruined, and say there's nothing that can happen to me that can save me anymore. At that point, they're very vulnerable and they'll just grasp on to suggestions, stupid suggestions, right? And just do it and say, well, even if I didn't manage to solve my problem, at least it's not my problem anymore. It's not my fault. I only failed in this because it's, I followed that guy's advice, right? So it's already been softened a little bit. So your failure, even though, think about it, you'll fail whether you do nothing at all or whether you follow some stupid ass advice from somebody, or you're going to fail either way, right? But if you fail of your own accord, you'll at least learn something from it and say, well, what did I do wrong that made me fail? Yes, that's natural, isn't it? But instead, if you just followed some other stupid guy's advice and you said, okay, well, I don't know how to do it, I'm going to do it like that person, and that totally didn't work for you, now you will not invest the same amount of time in trying to do an autopsy, right? And saying, why did I fail? Right? And because it was not your solution, it was someone else's solution. You're not going to dissect that person's solution and say, well, you know what? That person told me to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, and that G was the incorrect step in their instructions, and that's why it failed. How many people do that, right? Maybe, many times when other people give us advice, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, only A is correct. B, C, D, E, F, G, H is all wrong because only A they can see. Everything else they can't see. They haven't lived your life, right? So they'll give you advice as though, putting themselves in your shoes and thinking, well, if I was in their shoes, this is what I would do. So I hope this works for them. So maybe it's well-meaning advice, but it's actually well-meaning stupid advice, meaning that, they're giving you advice with a partial vision of your life, and they don't know what the hell is going on. And so you can't just blindly follow what other people tell you. You got to say, well, does it make sense to me? So when you A, B, C, D, E, F, only A is right, and then it fails all the same. You say, well, that person, it's not my fault. It's that person's fault. So when that responsibility, right, or accountability is taken away, already you're very susceptible to doing wrong things. Because one of the things that keeps us from doing wrong things and always doing the right things to make ourselves better as humans, to other people as well as to yourself, to get more out of life and enjoy life, is essentially this thing that says, this sense in us that says this is right and that's wrong, and that, if you do this and that'll, and so on, right? So the moment you delegate that to some other person, you're already accepting the fact that, 2020 vision, which is what you have, because you are the only person in the whole world, not your parents, not your siblings, not anyone who's genetically interested, related to you, nobody, right? Nobody has the same vision into your life as you do, right? Because you're the one who gets everything. All the input is in here. So the moment you delegate that to someone else, you're saying, I'm going to drive this car that is my body with, with wearing blinkers. How many people do that? Can you get on the highway and drive with your eyes closed? Just because, you have a passenger who says, turn right, turn left, right? And that is what people do when people follow others' advice, unthinkingly. And you won't, so, and so when that responsibility is taken away, people also feel a lot more free to do stupid things based on someone else's advice, because they have now excused themselves from the pain of failure. Because if it fails, it's not going to be 100% painful to you. It's only going to be 50% painful, because you can always say, well, you know what, it failed only because of that guy. So the moment the responsibility is gone, this works all the time in teams also, right? In teams, when you're doing one-on-ones, when there's a big project that failed and you have to do an autopsy, right? Investors and shareholders pumped in millions of dollars into this and hoping for some return, and that didn't happen. And so obviously the CEO has got to sit down with the team and say, why didn't it happen? Let's do an autopsy, right? And see which step failed. And when that happens, when people start assigning blame to other people and say, well, it didn't happen because that person didn't pull their weight or didn't do something, that is a sure sign of the company going downhill. Okay, because what happens is that when you start assigning blame to other people, no matter, even if it's real blame, right? If you could be blamed saying, that person told me to do this and that's why I did it and that's why the whole project failed, then the good CEO will say, well, that person told you to do something really stupid, right? And you did it. It doesn't mean you're also stupid, right? So where is your sense of what needs to be done? So because the reason I'm bringing up that analogy is because by following other people's advice, we build up some kind of a parachute in our minds to do wrong things, and because you're okay with failure now, whereas you won't be okay with failure if nobody helped you and everything was yours. Does it make sense? All right, so and tying everything back to programming, that's exactly the way it is. So when you actually know how to use all these tools in every possible way, every single possible way, this is how it works, okay? Then you won't have to be beholden to the advice of some person who says this is the algorithm to follow, right? And you just do it blindly because it's going to work, because I can prove it, right? And then you can, then you follow the proof. And if you don't understand the math, you've got to make sure, or find someone who you trust and say, or get multiple perspectives and say, all right, this is totally solid, bulletproof, and before we do it. Otherwise, you'll end up you're spending a lot of time working on solutions that are not going to work, okay? Because many times you can tell, even when you bring in a fresh pair of eyes and they look at something that's been going on for 3 months, right? I've known that person would say, well, you know what, this has been going on for 3 months and you're expecting it to complete in like 6 months, but I can tell you right now it's not going to work. Okay, there have been people who've done that in places where I've worked at. Okay, and they know after 3 months of looking at the project, they know this is not going anywhere at all. So, but however, I also know companies that have this good money after bad mindset. I don't know if you know about good money after bad. It's a term that they use in England, or they used to use in England, I think. So good money after bad is when you buy a company, right? Stock on the stock exchange. And you pump in, let's say, $100,000 into some company, expecting that company to go to $200,000 in the next year, right? But instead, it went to $50,000. So what would people do? So the right thing to do is look at the fundamentals of the company and say, why did the stock drop? Does it have any opportunity to come back up? That's what people should think of. That's how people should think. Yes. Otherwise, but the psychology of the investor is actually the opposite. What they say is that, well, you know what, I bought it for $100. Now it's only a $50. Now, which means if I bought another $100,000 of stock of the same company at $50, my average price would not be $100. Now I got the same stock for $75. Yes. So they think I can average down the price by buying it low. Where that is called throwing good money after bad, because a company that is on a downward trajectory, it is going to be run into the ground, right? So it started at 100, now it's at 50. Now you buy more of it, you're going to just be asking the same question when it's at 25, right? And so that's throwing more and more good money after bad. and it's not just stock market, okay? This good money after bad is not just a financial thing. It is a deep-seated, I think, mental quality or attribute or trait, right? That many people running companies have. They embark on dead-end projects in the hope that it's going to do something, having, maybe fooled some people, and they start on it. But after a while, so maybe an investor says, why is it not going anywhere? Let's just bring in an outside observer, or let's get a board observer to come and see what the hell is going on, right? So they do that and say, well, and that person says, this is not going anywhere, right? This is a totally harebrained idea, and we should abandon it right now. But I know companies that would say, well, that investor is out of their head, right? Out of their minds. So let's just exclude them and keep doing what we do. So that we have something to do for the next 3 months, and we get our salaries, but we know, right, in our heart of our hearts, we know it's not going anywhere, right? And so that is throwing good money after bad when it comes to running companies, right? When you have an invested effort that is not going anywhere, and it can be shown by people in the company and intelligent people that's not going anywhere, and we take a look at it, we have to admit to ourselves, saying, well, that's not going anywhere. Let's scan it. So if you look at many of the successful products out there, good companies, they start off many projects. When you take, anytime a company becomes big, they're going to be trying lots and lots of products, right? So Google started with just a search engine. Look how many products they have. Microsoft, right? All of these things, they all have many projects and products that come out. But at the same time, you'll also see them invest in products that are not going to go anywhere, right? However, they think it may be going anywhere. This is Google Wave, right? So I think back in 2007, it was actually one of my friends, I think, who was living in Australia. She was instrumental in coming up with Google Wave, and so they tried it. It was actually a fantastic, it was nice for people who liked it. Do you guys remember Google Wave? Have you used it? No, it's a chat. It's just like chat, like Facebook Messenger or WhatsApp or any of the chat thing, except that the major difference was that the other person can see it as you're typing. You don't have to wait for enter. As you're typing, they can see what you're typing, right? It's actually really cool, because the idea behind it was that it'll put people more in connection with each other, because they'll now be able to gel at a letter level rather than at the word level or a sentence level. and I think personally, I think and it didn't go anywhere. But Google was really quick to identify that, right? And said, this would have been a really killer product and fantastic if it was successful. Unfortunately, it's not successful, so they're going to axe it, right? So even though many people had spent lots of time, energy, and money and effort developing this product, Google said, we're just going to kill it, right? And these people, they're intelligent people. They can work on other things too, right? So, because nobody's working on one thing, right? So they'll go and work on other things and do things. But they have the guts to basically axe things that are not going anywhere. That's saying we're not going to be throwing more good money after bad. So we know that this is not going to work, and so we'll just axe the product right now. And so that kind of mentality will also start bubbling up. And you'll also be creating lots and lots of products, and along the way you'll know, right? This looks good. I'm going to continue with it and finish it. Or this doesn't look good. Or and you'll be able to prioritize things better and create much cooler things as time progresses. Anyway, that's, I think, enough of a spiel. That's already a half hour. I'm sorry. Because today I wanted to do something really cool and interesting. And in fact, I actually invited some of my CS2C students who may be interested to come along, because the idea I had, which I haven't tested out again, like the parabola, and I'm looking forward to trying it out today with you guys, is it's called a finite state automata. Have you heard of finite state automata? Do you know what an FSA is, or FSM? Finite state machine. It is actually really cool. It is used a great deal in machine learning, for example, right? In machine learning, sometimes what we want to do, it's you can build a generative FSA, meaning it's called it's used these fancy terms, but when you implement it, you say, oh, that's what this fancy term is, right? I know what this is, and I know I've known what this is since I was a kid, and now I've got this name, fancy name to attach to it that I can talk about with other people. And so I'll explain what a finite state machine is. We'll actually implement one, and we'll use one to generate sentences. So it's going to be a generational grammar FSA, meaning that we'll and the reason is that we will actually be able to leverage arrays. Okay, we wanted to talk about arrays and vectors in the previous class. We'll talk about arrays and actually use arrays today in our project and develop a finite state machine which is capable of generating English sentences. Okay, and you can do the same thing in any language, right? So if you have another language with keyboard and everything set up, and you know the grammar of that language, you can basically take the same thing and do it there. And this is one of the ways in which you can generate sentences for a chatbot, right? And you can do cool things with these things. So that's what I'd like to do. And and in order to do that, if someone who has a tablet, right? I know Juan has a tablet, so at least one can share their screen. I'll basically what we'll do is start off with a picture of what we want to implement. Right, we're going to create this picture with like a flow chart. Not a flow chart. We'll create a picture of the finite state machine, and so you can have a visual representation of this is what a finite state machine is. This is what FSA is, right? And in fact, I know that FSAs are in the syllabus of the first year computer science at UCs, right? Because my daughter was actually studying, and so therefore, CS2A is essentially the first year course in any UC2, right? Because when you transfer, you go on to the third year. So this is actually your first year class. So finite state machines are going to be like super duper useful, and we will implement one. And by taking your tablet, and we'll draw what the finite state machine is, and then we'll take that diagram and then create code that mimics that diagram to spit out English sound and sentences. How is that? Does that make sense? Yeah, are you guys okay with this? Great. Okay. So I'd like if someone who has a tablet, right? And well, we don't have to put Juan on the spot once again, but if nobody else picks up, I will ask Juan. Does anybody have a tablet? Jose, are you at Foothill? So where is this? Are you behind the PSAC building?
I'm at the library. It doesn't.
Oh,
open.
yeah. All right, cool. By the fountain, right?
Yeah.
Great. So you don't have a tablet, I think, because anybody else has a tablet that they can share? Juan, you have a tablet, right? Okay. All right. Let's start with Juan, and we'll do this. And then it doesn't have to be that Juan also has to be the coder. Once we've got the tablet picture drawn out, then we'll switch to a coder, and any of you can be a coder, and then we'll start coding it. Okay. And it's going to be fun. All right. I think it's going to be. Anyway, it was fun when I played it out in my head. So I'm pretty sure that it'll be interesting and easy. Okay. So yeah, Juan, whenever you're ready, share your screen, and and what we'll do is create. Yeah, I think that's what we'll do. We'll create a grammar, very simple grammar. And it's also called a slot-based slot filling grammar, okay, or slot-based or slot filling grammar, or slot. And you'll know exactly why it's called like that. Straightforward. In fact, it'll be one of the easier things to do. I think we probably did some of the harder projects in previous classes, even though they were shorter. This is going to be easier in many ways. We'll just wait for Juan to get set up and share a screen, and then we can start.
I'm trying to connect it.
Oh, you cannot connect it, Juan?
No, I had it connected to my charger.
Oh, I see. No worries.
Has Peter gotten his breakfast this morning? Your
Who?
squirrel?
No. I don't know. Maybe he'll come by. Yeah, if he comes by. I actually I got a new kind of cookie, but I don't know, maybe his black and white cookies have, but they've got icing on the top, so I don't know if he'll like it. But I'll give him the old cookies. We'll see. He'll come by at 10, maybe, or shortly before 10. So what we're going to do, as Juan is setting up, I'll basically explain what we're going to do. What we're going to do is we'll start playing with English sentences and say, we'll create a simple sentence that says, you know, the ginger cat, chased the little brown. No, well, let's just use one adjective, right? So the ginger cat chased the brown mouse, something like that. Okay. And then what we'll do is just break it up into not just the exact words, but what other words can also go in the place of those words. Then let's write the ginger cat chased the brown mouse. Well, you know, I think, does it have all the parts of speech? Ginger cat chased. In fact, the ginger cat playfully chased. Let's say playfully. So we can have more parts of speech. Playfully chased. Yeah. Okay. All right. Great. Excellent. Now, what we want to do is let's put these words in little circles on. So now you have to use your pen and draw circles, little circles, one for each word. And then in the first one you say the, and then the second one you say ginger, and then connect them all up. So draw a circle on the left, closer to the left margin, and put the word the inside of it. Yeah, you may want to reduce the font, the pen thickness, so that you can get it will be. Yeah, I think. No, even more on the left, the one you have. I think that will be better. Yeah, that's a good idea. Excellent. So the, all right, and then the next, another circle to the left, to the right, and say ginger in there. Great, and do the rest of the words like that. You want to get more space between the this part, not everyone needs to do. We can all watch what one is doing. When it comes to coding, though, everybody should be coding exactly what me and the coder are doing. Yeah, that's why I said we need more space, but that's okay, right? But the next, we got to do more circles, and we can do more spaces. All right, now put lines, connect the and ginger, and you need to make it an arrow. Make an arrow go from the to ginger, and then from ginger to cat, and so on, right? No, we connect the circles itself. We can, from the circle to this circle, from the circle all the way to that circle. And you can do it like this if you want. Or yeah. There you go. Okay, great. Now, so here's a question. If I wanted to make my computer print out that sentence, can I do it in this way, right? I start with the first word, the, right? And then the tells me what the next word to print is, right? So in other words, from the, an arrow leads on to the next word, ginger. And so on. So I do that one after another, following the arrow, the whole sentence will appear on screen. Yes? Yes or no? Okay. All right. And also, you just feel free to talk and say yes and be vocal. Rather than if you nod your head, sometimes I can't see it. Let me fit more of you. Okay. Yeah. Even then, it's much better to. All right. Now, what we want is to say, let's see, suppose I wanted to say, angry mouse fearfully I don't know. The angry mouse fearfully kicked the ginger cat, something like that. Okay, suppose I wanted to say that. Now, all of a sudden, you'll know that some of these circles are the same, but instead of ginger, I have ginger or angry. Two things can happen there, right? I have two sentences of exactly the same length, right? And we're going from one to the other. Except after I say the, I could say either ginger or angry. Yes or no? Okay, so let's now do another picture of below, another picture right below that. Now you can size all your circles correctly. And now that we've done it once, you know what we're going for. Okay, so right so do a circle with the on the left. Right now, the has got to have two arrows going out of it. Right. The top arrow goes to a circle called ginger, and the bottom arrow goes to the circle called angry. Can we do that? It's got to have two arrows going out of it.
Should I write ginger again or just aim it at the circle?
Oh yeah, and yeah, brand new diagram, brand new picture underneath. Yeah, that's great. And then under that angry, and there's two circles, and the could go into either one of those. Yes. Like that, the ginger cat. So now again, cat or mouse, the cat or mouse. Now you'll notice here that we have introduced some semantic inaccuracies. But when it's what I mean by semantic inaccuracies is that the sentence that comes out may not necessarily be true anymore, because the cat maybe wasn't angry, and the cat wasn't brown, it was ginger, right? And then the mouse wasn't brown, but we'd have the mouse wasn't ginger, so we'd have this what we're doing now, and keep going on, right? So now from cat again, yeah, exactly. So cat, from cat you would go to, I think, was it fearfully or playfully. From mouse also you can go to fearfully or playfully. Yes. So yeah, we won't do more of that, by the way, because I'm just giving you an idea of what we're trying to do, and later on we'll basically say this is what we're going to implement. Okay, so yeah, all right. So again, and you can also space them out vertically, because these arrows will the arrows will be no, this is okay. From the next one on you can, okay, all right. So the next one you can just space them out, and so your arrows will be so playfully, chased, and what was the other one? Chased or kicked, or I don't know, kicked or bit or whatever. Yeah, kicked, angrily, fearfully kicked. So this you can do really quickly. You go all the way to the end really quickly, and is everybody okay so far with what we're doing? Yeah, Jaden, you have a question? All right, okay. Yeah, the and both lead to the at that point. Yes, and then again you have something similar to that, the, and then brown mouse, and then ginger, and then mouse and cat. Now we took these two sentences, created what is called an automaton, which, by the way, is not a full grammar yet, right? It's just an automaton. This is called an automaton, and it's a finite state automaton, because at any given time it can be in one of those finite number of states. How many states do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, right? So you have 14 states there, and 14 circles, right? At any time you can be in any one of those circles. Having said what that circle is supposed to do, then you can branch into two possible states. Yes, does it make sense? So this way, this particular automaton can generate more sentences than we started with. We started with only those two sentences, but now this automaton can produce sentences that are not necessarily correct, but they make sense in the sense they are grammatical. Because the ginger mouse playfully kicked the ginger cat. So that's also possible, right? That can come out of this sentence, this sentence generator. It's grammatically correct, but it's not, doesn't make sense. It's an important point to understand, right? Because now we've constructed a system which is possible to generate, with which it's possible to generate a richer family of sentences. Now, there's one little detail I want to go into before we generalize this and start implementing this. And this is what is called, or I call it anyway, I don't know if this is a formal term, it's called a forward dependency. And the reason I say that is because, oh, let's say, you know, let's say an apple, a fig. Okay, all right. Suppose I said, and we'll do a really short sentence, an apple is tasty, right? An apple is tasty. We will do the same thing here, right? An apple is tasty. Right. Now, let's say we also have another sentence. A fig is tasty. A fig is tasty, right? Is a tasty fruit? Yeah, of course. Fig is not a fruit, right? A fig is a flower. Okay, so a fig is tasty. Okay, now, suppose I want to say, instead of having these actual exact words, I want to have just parts of speech. What are words like the, and, and all, right? So those words are called articles, right? An article, I think, is a special class of what is called an adjective. An adjective is something that says this is, you know, qualifies a noun. So a ginger cat. This is a mini lesson in English or in any language. The ginger cat, right? The cat is a noun. A noun, no, a thing, a noun. Ginger cat says what kind of a cat it is, qualifies the noun. And therefore, that is called an adjective. It should be called an adnoun, but an adjective is easier to say, right? So it adds to the noun. So it's called an adjective, right? So the ginger cat. Now suppose, and likewise, if something qualifies a verb, right? A verb is something denotes an action, isn't it? So chased is a verb, or, you know, kicked is a verb. But how did I chase it, right? Did I chase it slowly, angrily, fast, right? How did I chase it? How did can I make that verb more rich? Can I qualify the verb better to say how many, in which of the 5,000 different ways can you chase something, right? So saying this is the way in which you chase it, that is an adverb because it adds to the verb. So it's an adverb. So playfully chased is different from just chased. Yes, but they're both verbs, except that playfully chased is an added verb. It has more to it than just chased. So that's why it's called an adverb. Okay, so let's say that instead of saying playfully and fearfully and things like that, I'm just going to use a tag called adjective. So in that adjective, it's not just playfully and fearfully anymore. You can put anything. You can say playfully, fearfully, angrily, you know, smilingly, any adjective from the dictionary. Open up a dictionary and pick any of those millions of adjectives and you put it in there. So you now have a slot inside of which you can put that, right? So let's just now do if you scroll up, and we'll do a very simple grammar. Okay, scroll up and say, put a circle in there and say an article inside of the circle. Say article, right? So yeah, on the next, scroll up and yeah. Now put a circle, and inside the circle say article, right? And then an arrow from there, and then that is going to point to an adjective, right? Adjective. ADJ is enough, right? Oh yeah, that's fine. That's fine. You can do it, right? And then that points to a noun. Okay, and then that points to an adverb. An adverb. Yeah, and the adverb points to a verb. And then the verb, well, what does the verb point to? Chased, yeah, again, adjective, and yeah, you have one more adjective and one more noun, and that's the end of the sentence, right? You have, can you horizontally squish the picture also? Get more space on the right? That's not possible, right? You can do that. You can come down.
Should I do an article and then the adjective? And
Adjective and noun. Adjective and noun. Verb, adjective, and noun. Now, here is a cool thing. Now that is a template. It's a template because you can fill in the slots for an article, adjective, noun, adverb, verb by just going to a dictionary and picking words out, and it'll just give you a valid sentence. Except there's one small gotcha that I'll talk about, right? But technically, that is valid as a sentence generator. So if someone says create a sentence generator, right? All you need is basically a bag of articles, and in the bag of articles, you're going to have words like the, and, a, and things like that. You're going to have a bag of adjectives. Again, you can pull it from a dictionary. So go to a dictionary and pull out, saying, oh, I got all these adjectives. Very cool, red, angry, sexy. All of those adjectives are in that bag. Okay. And then noun. You go, how many nouns are there? So many nouns in the world, right? So you can put all the nouns in that bag. And then you got a bag of adverbs like that, verbs, and so on, right? So you got these bags. And now if someone says, give me a sentence, you just pick one from each bag, line them up like this, and you got a sentence. And it's going to be a valid sentence. And the beauty is that you can generate any number of sentences now, right? So many sentences you can generate, because now if I want an article, let's say I pick an article the, right? The, right? So write the word the under article, right? Right? And now someone come up with an adjective, right? Just Google for random adjectives, or open a dictionary. Someone tell me an adjective that we'd like to slot in there. Go on. Just come up with some random adjective, right? So look up. So you can just go to Google and say random adjectives, right? And it'll give you a whole page of adjectives, and just select one and tell us what.
Sticky.
Anthony. Sticky. So did you say sticky?
Yeah, sticky.
Fantastic. All right, sticky. All right. So noun. Just give me a noun, right? The sticky. Just pull out a noun. Pull a noun from your bag of nouns, and tell me a noun. Anyone, right? Anthony has said sticky. Doesn't have to be Anthony. Maybe someone else, right? So say, give me a noun.
Squirrel.
Right. Squirrel. Sticky squirrel. Okay. All right. All right. So that's your noun. Adverb. So we want something that will qualify a verb to come, right? So and adverbs are like things like quickly, and usually end with ly, I think, right? So give me an adjective, any adjective.
Gently. Yeah.
Gently? Did you say gently? Someone said gently.
Yeah, I said
Gently. All right. Gently, and then a verb. And let's make sure the verb is, we'll do all verbs in past tense. Okay. I think in the previous quarter, I tried this, although not like this, not in this way. But sticking to past tense was actually easier in many ways for now, right? Because otherwise the grammar needs other dependencies that can be modeled like this, right? So give me a verb, any verb. Squirrel gently. What did it do? What did the squirrel do gently? Right? So just give me any verb. In past tense. Right? What do squirrels do? They jump around. They they walk around. They eat stuff. Oh, yeah, ate. Thank you. Ate. All right. Gently ate. Oh, you need a. You know what? Before turn the adjective, that circle in there. Turn the adjective into an article. Right? Let's not do another adjective there. Just turn that into an article. Yeah, an article, or there are words like a, and, the, every, one. Well, I don't know if one is an adjective or an article, but or even no is also can be used there. So where an article can go. So say, give us an article, any article you want, right? Okay, every. Okay, we're going to treat every as an article. I don't know. You have to Google and find out. I don't know if every qualifies as an article, but it's okay. It's okay, right? Because I used to think that only the, and were articles, but it actually works. Okay, and then a final noun to round it off. Every tomato, cool. Okay, yeah, and you gotta eat tomatoes gently, okay, because they're gonna be, otherwise they'll squish in your face. Okay, so that's why the squirrel was very gentle with that tomato. All right, cool. Every tomato. All right, so now we've got a sentence, right? So now one thing is, now suppose you had a bag of adjectives, bags of things, right? Now the one thing that we overlooked here is what I call a forward dependency, meaning that you cannot make a choice for a particular slot, right? I don't know which article to pick until I know what's going to happen next. You know, it's a very common problem, isn't it? Not just in computer science. Many times what we need to do depends on what is going to happen later. Yes. So in English, for example, if I can say, that's why I said, you know, a fig and apple example, right? So I say, if I want an article to make that sentence, an apple is tasty, right? I would pick the article an, because apple begins with a vowel. Yes. Whereas a fig begins with f, which is not a vowel. So I can say an fig is tasty. I got to say a fig is tasty. Yes. Therefore, what I need to pick for my article depends on something, a decision that I have not yet made. Does that make sense? So I need to pick fig. I need to pick the noun before I know what article to pick for qualifying that noun. I want everybody to be on the same page, okay? Because it's a subtle concept. It's a forward dependency. It's depending on something that is yet to come. It hasn't happened already. Anything that's happened already is easy, because you can conditional probability. It's like a conditional probability, right? Because you know what it is, you can do all the Bayesian stuff, right? So, but if it hasn't happened, you have no idea. So how are we going to resolve this problem? In this case, how do we resolve this problem? Now, it's not a hack, but there is a way in which you can resolve a forward dependency like this, and we'll do it like this. Okay, for this, because we want to keep in CS2A, we will keep everything simple in this grammar. So what we're going to do is we'll resolve the forward dependency by splitting the case into two different things, right? So we're going to, instead of having one bag of adjectives, we'll have two bags of adjectives, right? One is going to be adjectives that can follow the, right? Or a. Another bag is going to be adjectives that can follow a or I don't know, a or an. I don't know, right? This is what we'll do, right? So in other words, we're going to say if we picked a, the range of nouns or adjectives that is available to us is not the whole thing anymore. It's only the nouns that can follow a, right? So if we picked an, another set of nouns. So that way we are safe, right? We will not generate a grammatically incorrect sentence using that automaton. Yes or no? Okay, so let's do that again, right? So, and in this case, let's not do this big sentence. We'll just do an apple is tasty, a fig is tasty, right? So we're going to do it like this. So we're going to start at the beginning. At the beginning, we're just going to say start, right? There's no word there. And we're going to say that is a start symbol. Yeah, start. And you can make that a square box, meaning that's not going to be a word that is emitted. That's where we're going to start, okay? Square box, okay. Now, from start, you go to either a or an, all right? To go to a or an. Yeah? And then from a, you go to nouns that can follow a. Or you can say nouns following a if it is you're typing. Yeah, no, that is better. Yeah, nouns that can follow a. Yeah, and then likewise, nouns that can follow an. Now now we don't need forward vision anymore, right? We don't need to look because we've constrained the space that we can venture into based on what we already are in the graph or in that automaton, right? So we're saying we don't have to do that. We'll build it. We're going to build that forward knowledge into the structure itself, so that when you've navigated through the structure, some of it is already gone. You can't. So your choices in life have now determined the path in front of you. Based on our choices, some of these paths are now off limits to you, right? And that is the way we can make progress. even in life, right? So we make clever choices such that the number of choices that are available to us is rich enough for us to make something cool in life, but at the same time is not so constrictive, right? So that we can't move forward at all. So, and because if you didn't do that, and we say, no, I'm not going to make a decision at all until I know, right? When you're going to apply to colleges, for example, and you say, I'm going to apply to these colleges or whatever it is, or, do something. And you say, well, now I've done my thing and now I can't do anything more until I hear back. Okay, that's the wrong thing to do. And we say, well, I've done this. Now I'm going to plan to say what I would do if this happens, or if this happens. So in other words, you can still keep moving forward based on these by saying, if this happens, that part of my life is now gone, right? No, not gone, it's gone for the next 10 years, right? I can come back to it after 10 years and, do something else because I've now chosen computer science, right? Now I'm not going to be doing, majoring in acting for the next 10 years because I've chosen computer science. That kind of decision, you're making a decision now based on what's going to happen in future by just bifurcating or, enfurcating the number of paths that are available for you to choose. So that's basically what we've done here. Okay. So now if we did this, we can start a computer program and say, we're going to start at start. Okay. And then we're going to pick one of two different articles. And we can say, we'll keep things very simple. Although in natural human language, it's not always equally likely that you would pick A or an. You pick different things according to what the idea you're trying to convey. But for the purposes of what we're going to do in class, we'll just say that all of these are going to be anytime there's multiple possibilities, we'll just say they're all equally likely, right? So we start, and then you pick A or an, 50% likelihood, one of those. Yeah, and I'll show you how to do that. And then after you've picked A, you need to pick a noun that only follows A, and maybe there's 50,000 nouns. Again, you pick one of those 50,000 nouns with equal probability. One shouldn't be more likely than the other. It's very simple to do that, right? One line, I'll show you how to do that, right? And you're going to do that one after another. And then you get the whole sentence. Now, does this make sense? This is what we're going to implement, okay? So what we'll implement is now the first picture that, Juan had, we'll say, we'll start from start, and then we're going to pick an article, and then we're going to pick a noun or a, adjective that can follow that article. And then we're going to pick a noun, but nouns don't have to, I think so, right? There's no agreement thing there. So you can just, there's no branching there. You just branch into a whole bunch of nouns from there, right? And so on and so forth, and it'll work. So this is the overall plan. This is what we're going to try and do. If you're all happy with it, we can actually start implementing, right? And actually have something really cool today that will set you up to implement a quest. Maybe not in a quest. Maybe I can make a quest out of this. But certainly in later quests in 2B or even in 2A, you will see that some of the testing sentences I use to test what the code you've written look like totally random sentences. And this is how I generate them. Okay, so what I do is I basically have this automaton, and you can write this automaton, 50 lines of code, something for a simple grammar, right? And I say I want 5,000 sentences to test Michael's C++ submission, right, on the questing site. So I say, give me 5,000 sentences, and it'll give me 5,000 sentences like this, using dictionary entries, and I throw them at your code and see if your code is able to handle all of the sentences within that grammar. So that's how I generate sentences. And obviously you can do this too, right? And if you're going to write a chatbot, and in quest number 5, you're going to be using creating something called ELIZA, right? Which is a program that is going to talk to other talk to humans, right? And you can write the responses of ELIZA in a clever way by picking out interesting words in what the human told you, and then slotting those words into your grammar, okay? And then generating a sentence using words that the other person told you. And you give it back to them. It'll look like a brand new sentence with some context because you're giving it back to them with their own words, but it's a different sentence. That's what you're going to do in quest number 5 in ELIZA. It's really cool, isn't it? And I never get tired of saying this. The ELIZA program is what is called a Rogerian psychotherapist. Okay, and it's supposed to be a psychotherapist, because you, in fact, on a computer, there's a program called on most computers, most operating systems, is a program called Emacs, and inside of Emacs there is a game called Doctor. Right, you play Doctor, you get into ELIZA mode of Emacs, where it will give you a question and you type an answer, and then you basically, the first question it's going to ask you is, why are you here to see me? Right, and then you say, well, I'm here because I'm feeling blue, and then it'll ask you another question saying, why are you feeling blue? Right, how did it know? Right, it picked out the word blue and made a sentence using one of these templates, right, and shot it back at you. Well, it's actually a more sophisticated template than this, but certainly it made a template using a template and gave it back to you. And then obviously, humans are suckers for questions. They'll take that question and give more information, except that ELIZA is basically feeding off your information and sending questions to you. And turns out, in my opinion, that is a far better psychotherapist than you can actually have when you go to a shrink that charges money and you pay them. Because who is the person in life, no matter how old you are, how wise you are, who is a person who has a solution to your problems? It is you, because you're the only person who has 100% visibility into your life. Even if you go and pay $5,000 a month, a year, for an hour to sit in front of a psychiatrist on a couch, and they ask you a lot of questions, they're operating on a sliver of information that you have. They have taken a small slice of information and saying, based on that, this is what you should be doing. Right, and you say, yes, I'm going to do that. Okay, but the truth of the matter is that they only saw this much, but your life is that much. Right, you have so much visibility into your life, so you have the best odds of finding a solution to problems in your life. You're the person who can find the solution, not someone else. And so the Rogerian psychotherapist is a very clever play on that, saying, well, you go to this doctor and you're going to say what the problem is, and the doctor is not really going to come up with any brand new solutions. They're just basically going to take what you said and shoot it back at you. And that's what ELIZA does. And take what you say and shoot it back at you blindly, just rephrased, and that will force you to think. And saying, force you to think, and thereby discover the solution to your problems yourself. Because in the end, that's what we find. Every problem we face, the solutions are not out there. The solutions are in here. And the best therapists are not people who come up with high-handed advice on saying, this is what you should do, this is what you should do. The best therapists, the ones that are worth their money anyway, are the ones who help you find the solutions yourself, by not telling you this is what you should do, but rather saying, maybe look at that part of your life. Can you see a solution there? Maybe this, right? Maybe that. Or maybe, that seems to be lots of patients who had that problem, have this problem. Can you look there to see if you can find solutions there? So, I haven't been to a therapist, but presumably that would be a good therapist who says, works more in ELIZA mode rather than in textbook mode, saying, hey, on the way out, leave $5,000 with my secretary, but this is what you should do, right? And the next time you go and you say, oh, it didn't work, you didn't follow it properly, right? You missed out a step, that's why it didn't work. So this is what we're going to do. So this is a program we'll implement. Now, at this point, I think we're ready to code. We're ready to code. So if someone who wants to code, who hasn't had a chance before, would like to take the screen, and I will basically guide you through the whole thing. What time is it now? Oh, we got a lot of time. We got 45 minutes, right? So up to 10. I'm pretty confident we'll complete this in 45 minutes and actually have some interesting sentences being generated too. So if someone would like to take the screen and start on one, thank you so much. Okay, for painfully drawing all these pictures for the class. Thanks. All right. So would someone like to take the screen and start coding just like usual, right? And then we'll thank you, Ose. Yeah, go ahead, take the screen and start coding, and then we'll walk you through the code, and try and see what should go in there. But yeah, share the screen anytime you are ready, and you can take. Oh, Xcode is fine. Yeah, let's do the next code. And also, I'll change classes. Oh, actually, I don't need to. Actually, I need to. Yeah, that's much better. Okay, so call it call it a sentence generator. Okay, sentence generator. Yeah, put an underscore because I think it's going to be a folder name somewhere. So yeah, enter. Oh, hang on, C++. You got C++ selected? Yeah, and put it on your desktop too, so that it's easier. Oh, yeah. Yeah, and put it on your desktop so it's easier to delete later. All right. Now create a new file. Oh, why is it? Oh, it's got your main. Okay, great. So let's put comments on the top. Put today's date. 20, is it 26 or 27 today? 26. So class code for April 26. Yeah. And then we'll put in comments. Yeah, under sentence generator, we'll put some comments. Yeah, even there is fine. We're going to implement a very simple sentence generator based on a slot filling grammar. Okay, that's what I think that's what it's called. Okay, slot filling grammar. Using and next line. I think that's 80 columns. After slot, I think is 80 columns. Yeah. No, yeah. No. Slot and yeah. And slot filling grammar. Using an FSA, and within brackets you can say finite state automaton. Automaton. Oh, you do have. Oh, I thought it was I. It's on my glasses. I can't. Automaton. No, something looks funky here. No, maton. M-A-T-O-N, and not miton. M-A-T-O. There you go. All right. So that's great. Okay. Now put an enter after that so that main is separated out. Okay. There you go. That's fine. Now let's and using namespace. You can put using namespace standard after IOStream. Yeah. Okay. So let's go to main and flesh out main first, and then we'll do the rest of these things. Okay. So yeah, thank you. And leave the return 0 in place at the very end because that's going to be necessary. Okay. All right. So let's say right at the top, we can say string article equals string article equals select article, select underscore article, open close, semicolon. Okay. Now we want to select an adjective, right? We want to select an adjective. However, the adjective, like we saw before, is dependent on the article, right? So here's how we'll do it on the next line. On the next line, here's what we'll do, right? Branching statements, right? We finally get a chance to use branching statements. We're going to say if open parentheses article equals double equals, and then we're going to say a within quotes a. Yeah, I think that's not a. Wow, I don't know if you guys want to see it, but there's a hummingbird trying to. There's a dandelion plant, and it's just trying to get honey from the dandelion plant, and it's checking out all the little flowers. All right, so yeah, if article equals a on the next line, you can say adjective equals select. Oh, adjective, adjective, GEC, yeah, adjective equals select ADJ from select underscore ADJ, following, underscore after A. underscore A, after underscore A, open close. Right? And the next line, semicolon, semicolon. And the next line, you're going to say else adjective equals. No, no condition there. Else, this is, if that, anything else, right? So that means that we don't have a condition. No, nothing, no condition there. No, yeah, there you go. Next line. Adjective equals. Select adjective after am. Underscore am. And then open close. Oh no, and. I'm sorry, am. Like an apple. Yeah, all right. Now we're going to do some fix-ups here. We're using this variable called adjective, but we haven't declared it. So right after int main, right? After string right after int main, right? So enter and there, let's just define all the strings that we are going to use, right? So I say string space article, comma, adjective, comma, noun, comma, adverb, comma, what else? Is that it? Verb. I think that should do. Okay, all right. So now, since we have already declared article, you don't need a declaration line 21. You can take out the word string in front of article, right? Yeah, I can take it out. Okay, now the redefinition. Okay, good. All right. So these undefined, meaning what the message basically says, you say you're going to use these functions, but I don't see those functions anywhere. That's what it is. It's not been defined. Okay, so we're going to define those. So don't worry about it now. Right now, on the next line, not there. Yeah, after line 27. On line 27, hit enter. Yeah, there you go. Enter. Okay. Now, what we have an article, adjective, the angry cat. Right. So you can say select noun. Right. So noun equals select noun. Yeah. Open close. Yeah. And next line, you're going to say select noun, verb. You want an adverb now. You want to have an adverb. So you say adverb equals select adverb. Yeah. And again, next line, you can say angrily chased. So you need a verb. So verb equals select verb. Is everybody okay so far? We're just basically selecting all the parts of the sentence and we're going to string them together. Okay, open, close, right? And then and then we'll just put a noun there. Oh no, we need an article and a. We'll do the same thing, right? In fact, here, this is what we'll do. Copy lines 21 through to 28. Yeah, and put it there. Enter. Now put it there. However, now notice that we've selected nouns and verbs. We selected adjectives and nouns. We haven't printed them out, but we're reassigning here, right? So we need different variables because the cat sat on the mouse, right? So so the cat, there's a noun there, and the mouse, that's also a noun. So we've got two nouns. Yes. So what we need is basically up there. We have noun and verb. We want to say noun 1, noun 2, and then adjective 1, adjective 2. We have 2 nouns and 2 adjectives in our sentence. So let's create 2 more variables right up there. So we'll say article right at the top. Right at the top. After article, you say article 1, article 2, article 1, article 2. Make that article 1.
Is this
yeah. Oh, line 19, line 19. Do line 19, line 19. Make that article 1, comma, article 2, because we're going to have 2 articles in our sentence.
So article 1.
Yeah, and then article 2. And then we have, is that it? Yeah, and now adjective 1, adjective 2, and then noun 1, noun 2. So those guys,
One,
we got 2 of each of those.
adjective.
In fact, let's ease your typing. Call them adj instead of adjective,
Adj.
because you're going to be typing a lot. Yeah, ADJ,
Okay.
ADJ. Can we shorten anything else? Yeah, even adverb, we can say ADV, ADV. And you have
Is it
noun 1,
amend-
noun 2. Noun 1, noun 2.
two?
Yeah, noun 1, noun 2. You need a space before that. And
I'm sorry.
yeah, okay. And then article also, you can call it art 1, art 2. I think that's easier. Art 1, art 2.
Is it adverb 1 and adverb 2?
No, I think we only have one verb and one adverb in our sentence. So
Okay.
that's fine. Yeah, but we changed the article into art. Yeah, article 1, article 2, art 1, art 2. Okay, all right. Now we're going to do one minor thing here. And because we're designing this program from scratch and actually doing it on the fly, we're doing a lot of things that will be useful to you in generally programming, development of programs. What we're going to do is, we already saw that we are creating the adjective, noun, and the article, adjective, noun 2 times here in this code, right? Right at the beginning, we are creating that triplet, article, the angry cat, right? That's a triplet. And at the end, the fearful mouse. We're creating the same pattern, isn't it? It's the same pattern, isn't it? Those 3 words, the same pattern: article, adjective, noun. Yes. Okay, so that pattern actually has a name in grammar. Okay, in English grammar, that pattern is called a noun phrase. Okay, because a cat is a noun, but a qualified noun is called a noun phrase. It's a phrase that can be used in place of a noun. So what we'll do is, in fact, factor that out. It's exactly like in mathematics, right? When you have ax plus bx, you can write it as x times a plus b. Yes. What did we do there? Because x is common between the 2, we factored it out. That's called factoring in math, isn't it? X times a plus b is xa plus xb. So we're going to do exactly the same thing here. And in fact, the word is also the same in programming. It is called refactoring. Okay, we're going to refactor this program, and that is something that you're going to be doing millions and millions of times in your life as a programmer. Okay, anytime you write code, you're writing code, and after a certain while, after 10 minutes of writing code, you're going to look at it from here and say, okay, now let me refactor this and come back. Okay, and you write some more, you refactor and come back. And that's how a lot of programming development, right? A lot of program development, that's how it happens. So what we'll do now is basically cut the lines from 21, basically the part that selects, the part that selects all the way up to noun, right? 21 to 27. Cut those lines, right? Cut it. Now we're going to create a brand new function. Okay, so now go above main. Yeah, enter. Now we're going to create a function called select noun phrase. Okay, so it's string space select underscore noun phrase. Okay, open close, right? And then curly brace. All right, now in here, paste it. Right? Okay. Now, now we need a declaration for article, adjective, and noun in here. So grab, put the declaration up there. Inside there, you can say enter at the end of the line. Go to the end of the line and hit enter. Here you can say string art, comma, noun, comma, adjective, ADJ, semicolon. Okay, now you're going to say art equals select article. Thank you. And then you're going to do the same thing as before. Is if art equals a, not art equals a, you're going to select after a and adjective. Okay? Thank you. Looks like Juan is, Jose has already got some experience programming. So, all right. So on the next line, there you go. Right now, at the end of that line, after enter, hit enter. You're going to return a sentence that is composed of those 3 words in sequence. So you're going to say, you're going to return article, art, art, no, art, no comma, yeah, plus, art, space, plus. You need a space after that, right? So put a space within double quotes. Yeah, and then plus, adjective. Yeah, and space, and then yeah, plus, another space, and then plus, now. Okay, all right. So anytime we call the function, give me a noun phrase, that is going to automatically create those, that phrase and return it to you. Is everybody okay so far? Now, in our main function, we can simplify things greatly because of the refactoring. So in our main function, get rid of art, art1, art2, adj1, adj2, and noun1, noun2, right? Get rid of all of those. Okay. Now, however, instead of that, you're going to have noun phrase 1. So say noun phrase 1 and noun phrase 2. You only have these two variables now. Noun phrase 1. Yeah. Okay. Now, now you say instead of art1 equals, you say np1 equals string np1, right? You can say string np1 equals np1. Oh, actually, you have. Oh, I'm sorry. You declared it already. You can say noun phrase 1 equals. You say noun phrase 1 equals, and you don't need the string qualifier because you've already declared it. And instead of select article, you're going to say select noun phrase now. Is everybody following along? We're just doing, step by step and sufficiently small steps so that everybody can basically follow along. And hopefully you're also coding this, okay? And seeing if it works on your computer or not, okay? Now let's also select another noun phrase. Noun phrase 2 equals, right after that, you can triple click on the line and copy it. Yeah, okay, noun phrase 2. Yeah, triple click and yeah, paste it again underneath. Okay, all right, now you got your 2 noun phrases. Now all you need is a verb and an adverb, okay? So again, you can get rid of lines 41 through up to 48. Yeah, that can go. Yeah. Now we need an adverb. So before the verb, select an adverb, or you can do it afterwards. It doesn't matter. You have to select an adverb. Okay. So you can say adverb equals adv equals select adverb. Yeah, I think it's adverb. We will call it adverb. Okay. Yeah. Open, close. Right, now you've selected the verb. Now in your main, you can basically say after line 41, enter. You can say, yeah, we'll do cout here, and then we're going to move this into another function too, right? So cout, left shift, right? Article, do we have noun phrase 1? Sorry, noun phrase 1. Yeah, and then left shift space, space, and then left shift adverb, and then verb, and then noun phrase 2. And then endo. Noun phrase 2, and then endo. Okay, all right, so that is your main. Now we'll do one more thing to clean up even better, and it's going to be useful. So now cut all of the lines from 30, everything inside main, cut all of it. No, not that, not the header, just a line, yeah, there, from there, not the return. Okay, cut it, and let's go above main. Cut it. Yeah, above main, let's create another function. Right, this function is going to be a string. Make a sentence. Make underscore a sentence. Okay, open, close. Yeah, and then here paste everything. Now instead of cout, what we're going to do is turn that to return. and then change all the left shifts to get rid of the first left shift. Yeah, and then change all the other ones to the plus. Is everybody, following along? Basically, we're just doing what we do as regular programmers out there, is just coding like this from our mind in there, and making these adjustments so that it actually works. Are you guys comfortable with what we're doing? Yeah, great. All right, so what does it say? A reference function could not be received. Where does it say reference function could not be? Hang on. Oh, reference to overloaded function. Okay, here's what we'll do. Okay, where you have that plus quote, change all the strings, the immediate strings you have. Put the word string in front of it. Put the word string in front of it. No, not there. Noun phrase is okay. It's already a string. But the one after that, in double quotes, that's not a string. It is an array of characters. It's a pointer. It's an address. So just write the word string there, and then within parentheses. Yeah, right. And you can get rid of the space before the parentheses, so it's stuck to string. And you want to do the same thing to the other one also. Do you have a space? Oh, you need that. You need that between every pair of words. Okay, so copy that string thing. Yeah, and that needs to go after adverb also. Yeah. And then after verb. Okay, now reference to overloaded function could not be done. Noun phrase one, string. That should work. Okay, I will mouse over the word string. Why is it underlined? Why is the word string underlined? All right, we'll finish it, right? We'll finish it and then we'll see, right? All right, so now let's define some of these functions that are called, so we can actually run it really quickly before we make embellishments to it. Okay, so let's go to the top, line 16. Oh no, yeah, no, 14, outside of the function, right? We're going to start creating more functions here. Okay, what do we need? Let's create a function for select adverb for now, right? Select adverb. String select adverb. Yeah, that's right. So string select adverb. Open, close. Okay, enter. Yeah, they're right there. Now, this is going to be a stub. We just want to make sure that everything works. Therefore, we're not going to do fancy selection between multiple adverbs. We're just going to immediately return some random adverb that we can pick. So let's say quickly, right? Or something like that, quickly. So just return quickly, return, and then say quickly within quotes. Okay, and then semicolon right there. Right, get rid of the blah blah. Yeah, that's fine. Right, and now we want to do another one for verb. Select verb. And this would be, I don't know, chased, ate. Right, return 8. I think that's what Tim said. Right? 8, ATE. That's semicolon. What else do we need to do? Okay, well, yeah, well, let's say select adjective after a. Select string, select adjective after a. And let's just pick some adjective, a round, right? So just select round. Round is an adjective, isn't it? Semicolon. All right. Now, again, select adjective after an. Select adjective after an. A round, and yeah, and just don't think of a verb that starts with an adverb that starts with a vowel, and angry. I don't know, angry. Return angry. Okay, so what else do we need to define? So, do we have everything? Noun. We need select noun. Select noun. String select noun. Right, and just let return squirrel for now. 2 R's. Okay. Well, I want to do one thing here. Just bear with me. Because we have 2 noun phrases, we don't want to have the exact same noun phrase in both places. So let's just inject a little bit of variation so it's more interesting. So what we want to do is inside of select noun, what we want to do is int random equals this function called rand. Okay, it's a library function. So say rand open close, rand open close, right? Rand. So rand generates a random number and gives it to you, right? No, rand. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Now on the next line, you say if random. If random, that's a variable, isn't it? Random percent 2. Now that is from class 2 or something like that, second week. Expressions. You know what that operator is, right? The percent operator is the same as a division operator, times operator, but the percent operator says divide and give me the remainder after division, right? It says don't give me the quotient. When you divide anything, you get a quotient and a remainder. Yes, anytime you divide, you get a quotient and a remainder, right? So 5 divided by 2, the quotient is 2 because there's 2 2s in 5. However, there's a remainder of 1 because after you take away the 2 2s, there's a remainder of 1 in 5. Yes. So anytime you divide something, you get a quotient and a remainder. If it is perfectly divisible, then the remainder is 0. Like 4 divided by 2 is the answer is 2, but the remainder is 0. So here, the question we're asking inside the if statement is, I've got a random number. I want to divide it by 2 and see what the remainder is. Now, what are the possible remainders you can get when you divide any number by 2?
1.
1. Well, what else?
0.
0. Yes, thank you. All right. So 0 and 1 are the only possible remainders you can get when you divide a number by 2. And the beauty of what this does is essentially that because of the way numbers are distributed, because there's an equal number of odd numbers as even numbers. Yes, there's equal number of odd and even numbers. Yes. So if you take a random number and divide by 2 and take the remainder, what's the likelihood you get a remainder of 1? Or what's the likelihood you get a remainder of 0?
50.
Equal. Yeah, 50%. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to say if the remainder is 1, we will return squirrel. If not, so yeah, there you go. Yeah, hit enter and say return squirrel. You can bring the return squirrel up. Yeah, okay. If the remainder is 1, you return squirrel. Else you return some other animal, or or even an apple. You say apple. No, squirrel, apple. Yeah, okay, that's. Oh no, yeah, I think that's fine because a noun follows the adjective, it doesn't follow the article. That's good. Right. So we equal likelihood, we're going to pick one of those. And likewise, let's also say for the adjectives. Well, that's fine. This will do for now. String art select. All right, that's good. Now where's our random number? Where is our random? One minor change that I want to do is, since we are generating random number and we're using it at exactly one place, let's just get rid of the variable random, which the compiler will do it for us automatically, believe it or not. But let's get rid of it and put that function call where that variable is. Right? Get rid of that line. This is shorten our function basically. Right? Shorten our function and turn that word random into rand open close. Okay. So this is going to generate a random number, divide by 2, take the remainder, and if the remainder is 0, it's going to return squirrel. If the remainder is 1, it's going to return apple. Is everybody okay so far? Okay. Now, before we leave that function, I want to show you one other way, a succinct way of writing the same thing, which is part of your branching statements module, right? Because you need to know this, because I'm pretty sure there's going to be a midterm question saying, what is this? How do you do it? Okay, so we'll put this in comments. So go to the end before the return, after the return, after the return, put a comment there. Saying the above is the same as the following one-line statement. The above is the same as the following one-line statement. Okay, that uses a ternary operator. Okay, so following one-line statement using ternary operator, or using the ternary operator. Ternary operator, T-E-R-N-A-R-Y, T-E-R-N-A-R-Y. Okay, and here you're going to say within comments again, within comments, next line, within comments, you're going to say return space. Now, within parentheses, you're going to say rand, open, close, space percent 2, and then double equals 0, and then close, and close, and then question mark, space, question mark. Okay, now on that side, right where your cursor is, you're going to say, if it is 0, what do we return? Squirrel. Okay, so say squirrel within quotes, say within quotes. Okay, and then space and a colon, the shift, colon. Yeah, colon. I can't see if it's a colon or a semicolon. I hope it's a colon. Okay, colon, and then the other one, apple. Okay, this is another way of doing exactly the same thing that we did in if statement. It's called a ternary operator, and it's very common in C++. Lots of people use it. Okay, it's unfortunately you don't have a ternary operator in Python, but it is one of the operators I actually love in C++, because sometimes you can just take condense programs very nicely like this. Okay, do we have everything needed to run the program now? Do we have we selected verbs, adverbs, adjectives, everything there? Select article. Oh, we didn't do article. We just need to do article. Okay, so on the next line, we can say it's a string select article. Okay, open, close. And here, let's do it using a ternary operator here. Okay, let's not do it like we want to select an article, the and let's just say a and for now. Okay, so we want to select a or and. Let's just select them with 50% likelihood. 50% of the time is going to be a, and 50% of the time is going to be and. So copy that that ternary operator line, which is in comments in 44. Copy that and put it here in one line. Yeah, right there. And then change change the first change squirrel to a and apple to an. Semicolon. Okay, and I think you can get rid of blank lines. Yeah, that's fine. Now return. Okay, all right. Now let's take a look at this. A noun phrase 1 plus string plus adverb. Select adverb. Plus verb plus string plus noun phrase plus. Oh yeah. Okay. The reason is you can't have plus endl right at the end, so get rid of the endl, and you're basically returning it, right? Yes, that's good. Now that should go away. Why is it not going away? Reference to overloaded. There are good. Okay, it went away. Okay, now I think it is a functional program. So in main, all you're going to do now is I'm going to take a bio break and go and pee and come 5 minutes like before. Now in main, here's what you're going to do. You're going to create a variable called a sentence, okay? And then this sentence is going to call that function, make a sentence and print it out. That's all, okay? Now, when you've got that working, we'll take that to the next level, okay? We'll try and inject some interesting variations and so on, okay? So do that 2 minutes, okay? All of you. And Juan is not going to type. No, Jose is not going to type. So, and someone else should basically speak the code and he should type it. What we need to do is basically generate the sentence, and Jose, you can help, okay? But don't type. I mean, type, but don't code.
Michael, are you laughing because
Yeah.
yeah. So don't type a code.
I guess you can just call the make a sentence function here. I think that should pretty much do do it unless I'm missing something.
So right type, it's oh,
Uh,
just make a sentence.
Yes, make a sentence. Oh, and I guess you have to see out maybe. So see out, make a sentence.
Oh,
Yeah.
there we go.
I think that should be it. If anyone else has any
Yeah.
inputs.
I gotta type no code, so.
Good. Is it going? You need an endl after that. Make a sentence. Yeah. Now you should be able to run it. You should be able to run it after that. And we'll see a sentence. Yeah, run it. Where's the console?
No, it usually comes up down here once it's
Oh, okay.
done running.
It said built successfully, and it's taking this long after that.
There you go.
Okay, all right. So an angry squirrel quickly ate an angry apple. Okay, why are we getting angry? Because we were always returning one. This is the same thing, right? Now I'll show you how to generate more, richer sentences. Now, is everybody okay with what we've done so far? Right? This is a basic framework. Everything else is going to be like super simple, right? Once you've got this done, the other things are going to be super simple. Okay, now that this is going, all right, well, we need to do one more thing, okay? In main, if you run it again, you'll get exactly the same sentence, right? Run any number of times, you get exactly the same sentence. Even though we're using rand, think about it, right? You're using rand to say, well, sometimes you need to start with a and sometimes you need to start with an, right? But we look at it, it's always starting with an. There's no variation. And that's because the rand function, the system library rand function, will always return the same sequence of random numbers. Okay, it's going to be random. They're all pseudo random numbers. They're all random numbers, but they'll all be the same sequence of random numbers. So every time your program starts, it's like a table of random numbers. Every time your program starts, your pointer is pointing at the very first random number, right? The next time you call rand, it'll give you the next one. So you can call it 5 million times, but it'll start from the same place each time. So you won't get different random. The way to make it generate different random numbers each time is to make a magic call. At the beginning of main, you say SRAND, open parentheses, right? Now, just bear with me. I'm not going to explain this in great detail, but we've done this explanation millions of times in past lectures, okay? And you can Google it too, and there's so much information on this. You can say, inside of SRAND, the inside of the parentheses, you're going to say time, open parentheses, 0 capital L, 0 capital L. No, the inside of the parentheses of time, 0 capital L, right? And now time is going to return a signed integer because it's historical, right? So what we want to do is coerce the typecast it to unsigned. So before the word time, say within parentheses, say unsigned, okay? Say unsigned right there. And then put a space after before the T. No, before the T, not there. Okay, semicolon, and put a comment on that line. Saying, saying seed the random number generator. Okay, seeding the generator means that every time you start with a new seed, and the seed is dependent on the current clock, the time. The time returns the current clock value, and it's always changing, isn't it? Time is always changing. The only thing that is guaranteed to change is time, right? So time is always changing. And so we say, set the seed from the clock so that, you get a different seed each time. Does that make sense? Okay, now if you, and put a line after that, put a blank line after that. Typically people do that because that is the very first sentence of a program in which you want to generate random numbers. You only call srand once. You should never call srand more than once. And srand should be called in main the place where you can control whether it needs to be random or predictable. There should be only one place in programs where randomness can be controlled. If a program has multiple places in which randomness can happen, that programmer is screwed. Okay, because when the program goes wrong, there you can't tell, because every additional place where something goes wrong, can be random. It grows exponentially. The number of possibilities grows exponentially. Yes. So you should only have one call to sran, and that should happen right at the beginning of main, and then debugging will be, will not be a pain. Now, if you run it multiple times, you should hopefully get multiple sentences, right? So run it first time, you get, there you go. If you run it again, you'll get a different sentence. A round squirrel, a round apple. Keep running it, you'll get an and sometimes. Always getting, keep running it. Always not ever starting with. Is it the same sentence, by the way? Is it always the same sentence? Ate a round squirrel, a round apple. Why is it always picking
It
A and
changes
it's not
from apple to squirrel. Like
Oh, it
the
does. And
letters.
angry. Oh, got
Yeah.
it. So yeah, so we do get A and an in the beginning.
Mhm.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So if everybody's okay with this, now we'll go back to the code. We'll make some improvements and make it more interesting. Okay. So now let's say a verb. Let's go. What can we change? Let's take a look. Right. Adverb. Let's put a bunch of adverbs in there, and we're going to use arrays. Okay. So go into select adverb, the first one. Okay. Enter. And now you're going to say string. Okay. Here is the interesting thing. Okay. Adverbs in plural. Okay. And then open square bracket, close square bracket. Okay. Space equals. Equals and open curly brace. Enter. Okay. Now in here, put quickly within quotes. A comma after that, and then slowly. Now, brainstorming time. Everybody should feel free to shout out the adjectives that they have come up with, and Jose will basically type it in. Right? We basically want a whole bunch of adjectives right there. Okay, so keep going ahead and typing these. Come on, more adjectives. We want to do 4 or 5 of these adjectives and 4 or 5 nouns and so on, and then we can run this with variation. Okay.
Quietly.
I know it's hard to come up with these on the fly, but try.
Wait, what'd you say, Michael?
Quietly.
I'm gonna brain fart. Quietly.
Yeah, someone else. While he's typing that, someone else can think up another adjective.
Violently.
Violently.
Graciously.
Great. Okay. Great. How do I spell it again? Gray.
Gracious.
IOUS.
There it is. Sorry.
Great. You want to put a few more, or we can go on to the next one. You put a few more if you want, but we want to do the next one also. What time is it now? Oh my gosh, it's 10. Let's do the next one. Okay, let's do a few more. Okay. Now, in fact, because we're running low on time, I'm going to change. Well, we'll talk about native arrays next class, but because we want to have an interesting experience, let's just change that. Where you say string, you say vector. Instead of string, you say vector. Vector. Angle bracket open. Right. Less than sign. Right there. Yeah. Less than. And inside of the angle bracket say string. Right?
Oh, less than. Sorry.
Yeah, less than. Inside of the angle bracket say string. String. No, not the inside the angle brackets. Inside the angle brackets.
Sorry.
So I say angle brackets. Yeah, angle brackets different from less than sign. So less than sign is an operator. It's an angle bracket, meaning there you say string, and then close angle bracket. Greater than.
Oh, greater than.
And
Okay,
now
okay.
adverbs is now not an array, it's just a vector variable. So get rid of the square brackets there. Okay, all right. So now semicolon after the curly brace, semicolon after the curly brace. No, left, yeah, right, yeah, right. Now go to the top after hash include IO stream. After, yeah, after.
Oh, after.
And say hash include vector, right? Because we're using vector. Vector is basically just a fancy form of arrays. Okay, it has some niceties that arrays don't have. That's why we're using vectors, because it's going to be easier and convenient for us. But I'll tell you what a native array is next class. Okay, and very rarely professional programmers now use native arrays. Okay, they just use vectors. Okay, so that's basically it. Now copy that the whole thing, vector, that, and put it in the next one. Select verb. Right now we'll change all the words, those 4 words, to actual verbs. Okay, so let's say no, you can leave them there because you're going to have to put the quotes and all. Right, so yeah, double click on quickly and say 8. Double click on quickly. Yeah, 8. Oh, it got rid of the quotes also. I thought, when you double click, it only selects inside. Right, give me more verbs. Okay, give me more verbs. Ran. Go on, guys. More verbs. We're running out of time. We've got to finish this. Okay.
Jump.
My goal was to get something going before the end of class. No, put them all. Yeah, past tense.
Swam.
Slammed. Okay, because violently is slammed. Okay. Graciously is thanked. 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 Okay. All right. Now, is that all? Yeah. Adjective. Let's do the same thing for adjectives. Copy that and put it there. We need to do one more thing, okay, but we'll get to that later, because when we get to returning things, okay, but we'll, all right. So do the adverbs also. Oh, you already have the adverbs. Oh, no, those are not adverbs. Oh yeah, change line 26. Select verb. It should be vector of string verbs, not adverbs. On line 26. No, not there. Line 26. You say verb, adverbs
Line
there?
28.
That's correct.
Wait, what line?
28.
Line 28.
change
Line
adverb
28.
to verb, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh.
Yeah, I said 26 because I couldn't see clearly in this font. Yeah, verbs. Okay, verbs. Yeah, all right. Now that should be adjectives. Adjectives. Yeah, and then selective adjective after A. So what are the adjectives that can go after A? You can say
Green.
green. Did you say green? Someone said green. Green. Go on. More adjectives. Green. A tall.
Fly.
What was that? Yeah, a fly. No, fly is not an adjective. A fly is a verb,
Fly,
isn't it?
like SLY.
A sly, SLY. Okay, and one more, and then we'll go on to the next one. Instead of gracious. Sorry.
Fresh.
Crushed.
No,
Did you say
fresh. No, fresh. FRESH. Yeah.
Fresh. Okay. Semicolon at the end. Semicolon. Yeah, there you go. No, that's fine. All right. Now let's do after and. All right. That also. The vector of string adjectives equals.
What would I put here? Because this would be the same, or would it not matter?
Sorry.
Since these two are the same, would that matter? Or
Which two are the same?
for the
Oh yeah.
like,
It doesn't matter because they're on two different functions.
Okay.
If they're on the same function, it'll matter, right? They're
Okay.
two different scopes. We're good there. Does it answer your question?
yeah.
All right. So go ahead. Let's do adjective after the other one. After an should be an angry. I can't think of verbs that start with O or A or
Angelic.
Sorry, Tim, what did you say?
I said angelic, maybe.
Angelic. Yeah, angelic. Okay. So angry, angelic. Yeah, a few more. Okay.
Apathetic.
Apathetic. Okay, apathetic. Yeah, we're getting interesting adverbs here. Okay. Yeah. Go on. More interesting ones. Ostentatious. How about that? Ostentatious. Yeah, it begins with an O. O-S-T-E-N. Tatious. T-A-T-I-O-U-S. Tatious. Right? Oh, and then we can also say, since we have ostentatious, we say auspicious, right? A-U-S-P, 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 A-U-S-P-I-C, P-I-C, P-I-C, auspicious. Okay, auspicious I think means holy, okay? Holy or something like that. All right, so and now let's do the noun. Let's do the noun, and then we have to fix up the returns, and we're good. Okay, nouns equals, yeah. So we have a squirrel. Oh, where's Peter? Well, he
Yeah,
came
I'm
by
almost
at
there.
8 a.m. and I gave him a cookie, and maybe he says that's it. All right. Squirrel. Yeah. What else?
Keyboard.
Keyboard. Yeah, keyboard. Okay, keyboard. Guitar. Guitar. A musical instrument, right? What else? Yeah, man, woman, girl. Those things can also go there. Yeah, man. One more. Chair, table, light, lamp. Oh, so many nouns. Yeah, the world is full of nouns. So you just put anything you want in there. Okay, chair. All right, good, good, good. 9% two. Now, all right, good, good, good. So what we want to do is, all right, there you go. So now the first one, what we want to do is get rid of that quickly within quotes there. We want, so what we have is a vector. A vector is an array of objects, but also gives us a very nice thing called dot size, which tells us how many objects are in there. So we're going to leverage that and say return adverbs, square bracket. Right now we're going to say inside of the square brackets, we're going to say adverbs dot size, open close. Right now, before adverbs dot size, I should have said that before. Before adverbs dot size, before the A, you say rand, open close, space, percent. Okay, now I'll explain what that is. What we're doing there is generating a random number, which may be really big, dividing it by the size of the array, which is really small. And what is the remainder going to be? What will the remainder be? Some number that's less than the size. Yes? Whenever you divide a number by another number, the remainder is always less than the divisor, right? So we know that when you do that percent operation there, the result of that is going to be a number that is guaranteed to be in the array because it is one of the valid indexes. Yes? So it may require a little bit of thinking after class to figure out what's going on. And if not, you should discuss this in the forums and say, hey, can someone explain this? Okay, but essentially what's going on is that we're taking a random number and using that random number to generate a random index in the array, and that index we're going to return. So that way we're returning a random element in our array from that function call. Does that make sense? We do exactly the same thing in all the other functions too now. Triple click on that, triple click on that. Yeah, you can actually triple click. Yeah, this is an easy way. Triple click on the line. Okay, copy that. And then triple click and paste, triple click and paste. Okay, paste. All right, now change, yeah. Change adverbs to verbs. And then same thing with adjective. Yeah, you can actually double click on yeah. You can double click on adverbs, it'll just select the whole thing. Okay, adjectives. And then do the same thing with the other one. Oh, in fact, you can copy that line and put it there because it's the same. Triple click, yeah, and put it there.
You forgot an
hang on.
S in the first edit.
Oh, all right, cool. And the next one also, we need an S. And then noun. No, get rid of the rand %2 and all those things can go. All of those things on line, yeah, line 59 to so on, right? Get rid of that. In fact, yeah, all right, get rid of that. You know what it is, right? Yeah, enter. No, put what we had before. Yeah, there. Now the comment above that doesn't make any sense, right? Because it was part of the previous thing. Get rid of it, yeah. And then change adjectives to nouns. And I think that's it. Get rid of the blank. You got a couple of empty blank lines there after that. Yeah, get rid of that. Okay, I believe that should be it. Now, if you run it many times, you'll get many sentences, right? Different kinds of sentences. Okay, now let's do something. Go to your main. Go to your main. And unfortunately, we don't have time. But what I was thinking we'd do is print a prompt saying how many sentences do you want? Okay, and then in a loop, you're going to generate that many sentences. But I'll show you how to do the loop, and then you can modify the program later to put a prompt and ask the user how many sentences they want. So you basically say where you have the cout, go to the line above the cout. Yeah, right. And then you say for size t, I equals 0. Oh no, you need the no, you need the open parentheses. Open parentheses. Size t I equals 0. Space I equals 0 equals 0 space 0, yeah, 0 semicolon, yeah, semicolon space I less than 10. So you're going to generate 10 sentences here. I less than 10. No, I less than 10. Not I minus 10. I less than 10. Yeah, so, and then yeah, semicolon space I plus plus. Now get that cout statement and stick it inside the for loop and indent it in, right? There you go. Now, if you run this now, you'll get 10 sentences that are all random. Okay, increase the size. Increase the size. Okay, an apathetic man slowly ran on a ran a tall squirrel. Oh, I see. So, this is some things that we have to fix up here because you can't run a squirrel. So that verb is probably not the right thing to do. But a fresh guitar quietly ran. Well, are we getting always ran? Jumped. Okay. All right. So here's the thing, right? So the things that we run into, because we're using a very simple grammar, we use, adjectives and, a and, but even for verbs, there are two different kinds of verbs. Okay. Verbs come in two varieties. Right? A transitive verb, intransitive verb. Okay, a transitive verb is just complete, saying he sat on a chair. Sat on a chair. No, he sat. Right? Doesn't take an object. However, if I say jumped on, jumped. Yeah, it actually. So some things have take an object as a parameter. So you can say there are verbs that like. The sentence won't be complete until you have the end. They're called transitive. If you Google for transitive sentence and intransitive sentence, you'll find lots of them. So some things like he talked to someone, or no, he talked. There are some verbs which are not complete unless you have something that go after them. Like talked can works in both ways, right? He talked is a valid sentence. He talked to someone is also a valid sentence, right? They're both valid. But however, in the second case, that verb has something else after that. In the first case, it doesn't. There are some verbs in which only one of those is possible. Those are called verbs that absolutely require the second part. And so like that, you have an apathetic man slowly ran. Ran cannot take. Yeah, ran cannot take an object. So ran is a purely intransitive verb. It cannot take an object. So what we have to do when we come up with a list of verbs in our array is to select verbs that, not like ran. Because if you want to do that, you have to do another level of modeling in the grammar. Say, intransitive verbs and intransitive. If you pick a transitive verb, you also got to pick a noun phrase object. If you pick a intransitive verb, the sentence can be completed right there. Now, is this enough to play? Yeah, this is enough to play with and take it to the next level, right? This is just level 0. What we've done in class is level 0. It's completely functional, and it is a way in which we've taken a grammar, okay, and translated the grammar into a program, which basically is a slot filling grammar. It is a generative grammar that generates sentences, and it is actually a finite state machine, because every time you're in a state, you have to do only one of these things. In the state, I have to generate a verb. Okay, after I generate a verb, I can go to another state. In that state, I generate something else. So this is basically a finite state machine. You cannot generate an infinite number technically, because if you think about it, it's not infinite, right? Because permutations, you can calculate all the permutations here. It's a large number, but it's still finite. So it's a finite state machine. And so using the finite state machine, we're generating lots of sentences. Now this is really cool because you can try this approach to generate more sophisticated sentences and use that to make your chatbots, right? So if you want to generate a Reddit bot, for example, which is going to take a post and generate a random sentence from it and post it. There's so many bots in Reddit, right? So sometimes you make an interesting post. So I bet you go to our Reddit and make any post that has the word sunflower in it, right? I know this because someone did this at 2B and it happened. Okay, make any post in Reddit that has the word sunflower. Some bot on Reddit will pick it up, and it'll generate a follow-up comment on your post with saying, oh, sunflowers are good for health or something like that. Okay, it'll make a sentence. Some random bot will react to the post you make if you have the word sunflower. It's not just sunflower, right? There are bots just crawling Reddit all over the place. They're looking for interesting things, right? And when they find something interesting, they'll just make an automatic post for you, automatic comment on your post. So those are bot generated posts. You can write one yourself now. Now that you know how to generate these sentences, all you need to figure out is how does Reddit interface with this program, okay? And that's out there in the documentation. So when you say, and in the documentation will say, if you want to create a Reddit bot, here's what you do. You hit this URL, it'll give you the sentence for the post, right? And then it's your logic. You munge your sentence and create a new sentence, and then you hit this URL, it'll post it as a comment. Okay, so it's very simple. That's what the documentation would say. I haven't read it, obviously, but that's something similar to what you might find in API documentation. You say, hey, if you want to do a bot, this is what you do. All right. So was this class useful? Did you guys, did you learn something interesting and new today? Right. And we also used arrays, used branching statements, and we did a lot of really cool things today. On Thursday, what we'll do is talk about native arrays. Right. Vector is basically a dressed up array. A vector is a native array. Which is not hard to use, but it's a little painful sometimes. So vector basically says we'll take the native array, which is really tremendously useful. Everywhere in computer science you use arrays, but we'll just take that, sugarcoat it a little bit, make it, give it some nice features without taking away the efficiency, right? The efficiency of the array is there, but we'll add some nice features like length, size, and so on. And that's your vector. So that's what we used today. But next class we'll talk about arrays and how they're actually stored in memory. Because it's very important to know how arrays are stored in memory, because that is the way we know why an array is useful, right? Compared to all these other data structures you're going to learn, arrays are tremendously useful for a particular reason. So we'll go into that reason and the theory behind arrays, and also maybe develop this program a bit more and maybe do another interesting project if you guys have an interesting idea come up in the meanwhile, or maybe I'll come up with an idea and we'll do that too, right? Maybe next class we'll do a numerical array problem. Today we did a problem with string arrays. Next class we'll try and come up with a numerical array problem where you have an array of numbers and you got to do something with it, right? Maybe you haven't even do this, and maybe you have an array of numbers. Try to find the fifth biggest number in the array. Okay, I'm not going to say the biggest number because finding a minimum or a maximum is trivial, right? It's not even an icebreaker. It's not even a warm-up question in interviews, right? Who's going to tell you here's an array, find the minimum, right? That's like beginning computer science. But an interesting interview question might be here's an array, find the fifth biggest element in the array, right? Or the sixth biggest element, or the nth biggest element. And that is going to be a challenge, right? And you don't have to start with 5. Start with, how do I find the second biggest element in an array? Okay, second biggest, not the first biggest, the second biggest, or the second smallest. So those are interesting problems you can tackle, and we can look at those next class after talking about the theory of arrays, okay, which is interesting in its own right. So I'm glad. I hope you guys got interesting and useful things. And yes, you said yes. I'm going to assume that's affirmative. And I hope the people that are not watching the video do watch the video. Pass this message on to your classmates. I told this to my 2C students. Okay, other students will listen to you. They won't listen to me. Maybe they will, but the odds of students listening to other students is up there. Okay, the odds of students listening to parents and teachers is down here. Okay, so if I want to tell something to the other students, because I have no point telling it to you guys, you're regulars, you're in class, you're listening and you're working and you're doing interesting things. So no point in me telling you this because you're already doing it. But you should make this class more interesting and also spread the good. If you're getting something good in this class, it is, you can take it upon yourself as a duty. Why? Nobody's going to punish you for it. You take it upon yourself as a duty is to spread the good. And you spread the good by taking this information and passing it on all to all the other slackers. Okay, identify these people. You know your classmates. You run into them on campus, on Zoom, and everywhere. Email, Discord, and Slack. Show it to them. Right? Tell them this is what we did. You should do this too. It's interesting. Come to class and enjoy it. You learn something useful that will make a big difference in your own life in future. Maybe you don't see it right now when your parents are paying for you. Right? And after 20 years from now, you're going to be paying for yourself, and this will make a difference then, not now. Right? Just because someone else is taking care of you now. Don't ignore people that say, here's something you can do to take care of yourself when other people are not taking care of you. All right. So this is that thing. So keep that in mind and share this information with the rest of the class. And I hope to see more people turn up on Thursday, and hopefully more people will also get a chance to code. Thank you, Jose, so much. Right. I think you already have some experience in coding, so you were a bit fast for some of the students, but I hope that doesn't put people off. And thankfully, because of that, we managed to complete the whole thing. So thank you so much for that. and more people will hopefully code. Okay, so I see already, right? Hasanta, who had not coded so far? Anthony hasn't coded. Tim, did you get a chance to code?
Before this class?
No, no, not today, but in our course so far.
No, that's the first.
No, all right. So yeah, Tim, Anthony, Michael hasn't coded either, I think. Yeah. Yeah. Shangwan, did you code? No, Shangwan also.
He's helped a lot,
so
though.
all of you should take.
I haven't
No,
either.
you
I
did
was
on
on
the
the
very first
iPad.
class. Yeah, you used the iPad, and you also coded in the first class, didn't you?
Yeah, he
Oh, you
did.
didn't code. Okay, all right. You can also code. Yeah, next class. So I hope to see more of you on screen. Okay.
Excuse me,
But
Professor.
if someone turns up and Kiki, you're not in camera, but you also should code. Okay. And if someone turns up next class who is not one of you, I'll give them first choice to code. And then if none of them picks up, one of you can pick up. Okay. Because newcomers, newcomers. I think in the Christians, there's this interesting fable, the prodigal son. I think, right? So the one who didn't do the right thing but came back, right? They are given more priority because of whatever the reason is. But here, someone who hasn't coded, is not in class, they come. I'm going to give them the first opportunity to code, and then the rest of you can code after that. Okay. Thank you all so much. I'm
Excuse
so
me,
happy.
Professor. Excuse me.
Yeah, Hasanta.
Yeah, small question though. The question number 3 and 4, are they due by next Monday? Both of them? Or
Question. Yeah. The free states are in the syllabus. Okay, and I think we'll go with the free states just to make sure that people aren't slacking off. Because I had free form free states last quarter and didn't do any good to the students or me. Okay, because when I had every quest, all quests will freeze before the midterm and before the final. Everybody just starts working one day before the final and never work. So this quarter, the free states are hard. Okay, they're solid.
okay.
And the only way you can get points for a quest that you missed is by going all the way to 9 and completing 9. Once you complete 9, you get all the points, even the ones that are frozen.
So just 3 and 4 both gonna be due next Monday though, right? That's the last free
No,
stay.
one per week. The blue chart. If you look at the blue
Okay.
chart,
Okay.
in the blue chart, you see 1 per week. So I think I forget the details, but you can look in the chart. It's
I'll
only
check.
1 quest
Okay.
per week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Please go
Thank you.
ahead and complete all of those.
Thanks.
Thank you all so much. Thank you all for coming, and I'll see you on Thursday. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.